buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into Soul, The Cost of Forever.
Oh yeah, Blaine Storm's latest.
This book, it is a wild
It
ride
really is.
through science, ethics, and a plot that I swear is more twisted than, like, a double helix.
And he really gets you right from the start.
He does.
Doesn't let go.
No.
He's got this way of like exploring the human condition, our hopes, our anxieties, the choices that we would make when we're faced with something impossible.
And you know what's so interesting is this whole idea of Soul Sync, the technology.
Right.
It all begins in a virtual reality world called Virtual Haven.
Oh, okay.
So imagine a world where you're not just seeing and hearing.
Right.
You could feel sensations in the virtual world.
So that's like the big draw, right?
Exactly.
A virtual haven, that promise of touch, the connection.
Deeper immersion.
Yeah, exactly.
But as with any powerful technology,
of course,
there's potential for good and bad.
always two sides.
Now we have the creators of Soul Sync, Tom Jeffries and Billy Blackburn.
Yeah, tell me about them.
They're this dynamic duo
Okay.
with like a classic personality clash.
I like that.
Tom, the doctor,
Okay.
he's grappling with all the ethics.
Of course, yeah.
And Billy, he's the entrepreneur.
Okay.
And he's already like envisioning how this is going to transform the world.
So it's not even just touch we're talking about. They discover that by manipulating these specific wave patterns called the Haven wave,
Yes.
they can influence emotions.
Imagine
Ooh.
alleviating suffering, helping people overcome trauma.
But also, the manipulation, the control.
Exactly.
Go
It's
there.
a lot. It's a slippery slope. And then to make matters even more complicated,
Ah.
Tom's close friend Marcus,
Yeah.
he gets paralyzed in this horrible accident.
Oh, no.
And suddenly Tom's research becomes this desperate race against time
Of course.
to find a way to heal him.
To heal his friend.
But it's pushing him further down this path that is just littered with ethical landmines.
It's like the classic question, right? How far is too far?
Yeah.
When we're talking about healing and progress, where do we draw the line?
When it comes to manipulating the human mind, who we are,
Yeah.
the essence of our being,
It's a big one.
and that's where Echelon comes in.
Uh-oh, who are they?
This shady organization.
Okay.
They swoop in, they offer Tom unlimited funding, resources,
Wow.
but there's a price control
Yeah.
over his research and its applications.
So, like a Faustian bargain,
Yes.
setting the stage for this battle between ambition,
Morality.
the soul of humanity. That's intense.
It is. And then we have the first successful consciousness transfer.
Okay, this is big.
They use a cat and a rat.
A cat and a rat.
It's a turning point in the story
How so?
because it's a chilling reminder of what can happen when we tamper with life.
Yeah.
I mean, the cat's instincts take over the rat's body,
Whoa.
and it raises these terrifying questions.
Like, what would happen if we did this with humans?
Exactly.
That's scary.
It is. And the cat-rat experiment, I think it's brilliant.
I can see why.
Because it really shows us just how unpredictable the consequences can be.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, it foreshadows all these ethical dilemmas
Right.
that are going to keep popping up.
As the story goes on.
Yeah, and Tom, he's driven by this desire to help Marcus.
Right.
So he makes this huge leap.
What does he do?
He transfers Marcus's consciousness into a monkey,
What?
creating Simian Marcus.
Simian Marcus, okay.
It's a desperate attempt to save his friend.
Yeah.
But it also illustrates just how far he's willing to go
To push the limits.
to walk that moral tightrope.
And imagine
Yeah.
waking up in a body that isn't yours,
I know.
with your thoughts and feelings trapped inside an animal.
I can't even imagine.
That really makes you think about what it means to be human.
It does.
Identity, consciousness, all of it.
Yeah, and this is just the tell of the iceberg.
Oh, no.
We've got romance, corporate espionage, and get this, they invent a soul recorder,
A soul recorder? What is that?
a device that can capture consciousness
Whoa.
and potentially duplicate it.
Duplicate it. That's insane.
I know, hold on tight, because things are about to get really wild.
Okay, so the soul recorder, that's where things get ethically crazy.
Right.
If you can record consciousness,
Yeah.
can you manipulate it, erase it, make copies of it?
What happens to the idea of the soul
Yeah, that's
when technology gives us the power to, play God?
That's a great question.
It is, and we'll dive deeper into those questions in part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay, I can't wait.
But for now,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that Blaine Storm has created this world
Yeah.
that's both thrilling and thought-provoking.
It is.
And it really makes us think about the consequences
Right.
of all this technology
Yeah.
and the ethical choices we make when we have this ultimate power over life and death.
It's heavy stuff.
It is. Okay, so we're back and we're digging deeper into soul, the cost of forever.
We're really getting into the thick of it now.
Yeah, and it becomes clear, how this technology could go from being something good to something really, really scary.
Well, that's what I think is so great about Blaine Storm's writing. He really isn't afraid to explore those darker sides
He's not.
of progress. And it makes you think, right?
It does.
That even the things we create with the best intentions, they can be twisted.
Yeah, and that's where we see Echelon's acquisitions program.
Oh, yeah. What's that all about?
It's basically like global human trafficking.
Seriously?
Yeah, taking people, vulnerable people,
Wow.
and using them as hosts for SoulSync.
That's just, I mean,
It's chilling.
it is. And the way that Sloan,
I know.
the head of acquisitions, he talks about it.
He tries to justify it.
Yeah, all these euphemisms.
Targeting overlooked populations.
Providing opportunities, but come on.
It's exploitation.
Yeah, straight.
It is, and it makes you realize, all this technology,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist in a vacuum.
No.
It's shaped by all these forces.
Social, economic.
Political.
Yeah.
And it can, perpetuate those inequalities.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And Storm, he's so smart. He weaves in those real-world parallels
I noticed that.
to things like organ harvesting, human trafficking. And it's like, this is happening.
It's a reality check, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we have this concept of Tina's broken soul.
Right, right.
This idea that it could influence all the variants.
Yeah, what if trauma can be passed on?
Through consciousness transfer.
That's a scary thought.
It is. It's like corrupting future generations.
It makes you wonder, about the soul itself.
Yeah.
Is it just memories, experiences?
Is there something more?
Yeah, and what happens when that's damaged?
Like a question that, I don't know, philosophers, scientists have been debating forever.
But now we're talking about, what if it affects society?
What if it amplifies our worst impulses?
It could be chaos.
Total chaos. And again,
It makes you think, we have to be careful, right?
we do.
With technology, with what we're messing with.
Absolutely. So we've got this ticking time bomb of varying chaos.
Right.
This shadowy organization with a terrifying agenda.
Uh-huh.
Tom's caught in the middle.
What happens next?
Well, things take a wild turn because Simeon Marcus,
The monkey.
yes, remember, with Marcus's consciousness, he does a double transfer.
Wait, what? A double transfer?
He ends up in Thorne's body, the CEO,
Whoa.
and in one of the guards' bodies.
At the same time.
At the same time.
How is that even possible?
I don't know, but the limits of SoulSync
Right.
are constantly being pushed.
Yeah, it's like they don't even know
That
they're dealing with.
And Simeon, remember,
Yeah.
he's got Marcus's original consciousness. He's brilliant. He's desperate.
To get out.
So now they've got Thorne as a hostage.
Okay.
Maybe this is their chance to expose Echelon.
To bring them down.
But it's not that easy.
Why not?
Because the variants, remember,
Yeah.
fueled by Tina's broken soul,
Oh, right.
they're unpredictable.
Uh-huh.
They're dangerous.
They're just running on those base desires.
Instant gratification.
Leaving a trail of destruction.
And it's like they're losing their humanity.
Bit by bit.
Yeah. Succumbing to these urges. And it's, I don't know.
It's fascinating, right?
It is
But it's also terrifying.
very
The
terrifying.
way Storm writes it, like this descent into darkness.
It's so vivid.
Yeah.
And Tom, Cassandra, Billy,
Right.
they're caught in the middle of it all.
Trying to control this technology that's out of control.
Yeah, and protect themselves from the forces they unleashed.
It's a high stakes game for sure.
It
It's
is
more like a game of whack-a-mole,
with a side of existential dread.
Yeah, exactly.
They think they've got it, and then boom,
Another variant.
another secret.
Another life lost.
And we can't forget about Marcus
Oh, yeah, he's still trapped.
in Thorne's body,
Right.
which is failing.
The clock is ticking.
It is, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
No, because it's not just their survival now.
It's the future of humanity.
It's everything.
So is there any hope? Can they contain the variants? Expose Echelon? Rescue Marcus?
That's the question we're left with as we head into the final act of Soul.
Yeah.
Blaine Storm really challenges us
He does.
to think about our own ethics, our own boundaries
What it means to be human.
in this world where technology is reshaping everything we know.
It's mind-blowing stuff. We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into Soul, The Cost of Forever.
It's the final act, the climax.
In Blaine Storm, he does not disappoint.
No, he keeps the suspense going.
The ethical question.
It's like a train wreck, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You can't look away.
You know it's going to be bad, but
you're hooked.
you have to see what happens.
Storm, he's a master at building that tension.
He is.
Every chapter.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
So we left off with the variant situation.
Right, it's out of control.
Totally, we've got Jesse.
One of Billy's copies.
With some serious issues.
Yeah, he's creating more copies.
And more copies.
All with that broken soul.
Like a virus spreading.
Yeah, leaving chaos everywhere.
And then back at Echelon.
Things are falling apart.
Thorne's behavior, it's getting weird.
Like he's possessed.
Almost. You know? It's clear something is wrong.
And Storm is so good at those little hints, you know?
The clues.
Yeah, making you question everything.
It's like a puzzle.
Where each piece just makes it more confusing.
Exactly. And then they find out
What?
that Sloan is missing.
The head of acquisition.
Yeah, and a bunch of Echelon's money.
Oh.
It's like the whole system is imploding.
At the worst possible time, they've got
Again.
the variants, and now this,
So they bring in Sid.
the new head of security.
But
I think
remember,
he wants to prove himself.
he's vulnerable. Yeah. And Sid, I think he's such an interesting character.
He is
Because he's like the normal guy
great
in this crazy situation.
having to make impossible choices.
So we've got Mark trying to deal with the variants. Tom, Cassandra, and Billy trying to figure out what's going on with Thorne and Sloan.
How to stop everything from going completely off the rails.
And then they discover something huge.
What?
Thorne, he's been syncing with Sloan.
What?
And maybe others, that's why he's acting so strange.
But that means Sloan, the guy who's behind the human trafficking.
Has access to Thorne's power.
Oh man, that's bad.
That's the worst case scenario.
It's like Storm took all the ethical dilemmas.
And just threw him in a blender
Yeah, it makes you think about the worst possibilities.
of this technology.
And what people are capable of.
So what happens? Do they stop Sloan? Can they contain the variants? What about Marcus?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Blaine Storm leaves us hanging.
he does.
Soul, the cost of forever, ends on a cliffhanger.
It does. So if you want to know what happens next,
You've got to read the book.
pick up a copy of Soul, The Cost of Forever. It is a wild ride.
It really makes you think.
And for those of you who want to dive in right away,
You can pre-order it today.
on Amazon, it ships on January 20th.
Don't miss out.
And before we go, we always like to leave you with something to think about.
Of course.
If this technology, SoulSync, were real,
Right.
what would you do?
Yeah. Would you be scared? Excited?
What choices would you make?
In a world where life and death
And identity.
are so blurred.
It's a big question.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time for another exploration of the ideas shaping our world.